There comes a moment in every life when the weight of invisible chains becomes too much to bear, when the soul, buried beneath years of compromise and quiet suffering, begins to thrash against the walls of its own making. This is that moment for you. Not tomorrow. Not when the timing feels right. Now the world taught you to seek comfort, to bow before ease, to trade your wild hunger for silent mediocrity. But in doing so, it robbed you of the fire meant to forge you into something unbreakable. Do not pray for an easy life. Pray for the strength to endure a difficult one. That's not a suggestion. It's a battle cry for the part of you that still remembers what it felt like to dream without permission. Your mind is not a battlefield. It is a forge, and every thought you allow is either hammering you into a weapon or melting you into nothing. Desire is the first spark. Without it, nothing moves, no reality bends, no destiny stirs from sleep. The law of desire demands one thing, that you want something so violently the world has no choice but to make room for it. But here's the truth they never told you. Comfort is a cost, and you've been paying it in installments your entire life. Every time you swallowed your words. Every time you felt the pull to act and froze. Every time you settled for less because the unknown felt too sharp, too wide, too untamed. Silent failure is a thief, and it comes disguised in days that feel safe. The longer you stay, the heavier the chain. And the tragedy? Most never hear the lock click shut. The architects of this world, the unseen hands that shape society, who have mastered the art of sedation, not through violence, but through endless distractions, hollow praise, and invisible ceilings. They whisper lies dressed as logic. Be realistic. Play it safe. It's enough. These are not suggestions. They are commands, spoken softly so you mistake them for your own thoughts. And in obeying, you trade the infinite for the immediate. But you made a vow once. Maybe in a childhood room staring at a cracked ceiling. Maybe in a moment of despair when you swore you'd never let them win. Maybe in a breathless flash of clarity when the world went silent and you felt something ancient and relentless stirring inside you. That vow still waits, buried, forgotten, but alive, and now it's time to answer it. So here's the strike that breaks the shell. Make a vow you fear you can't keep. Say it aloud, write it in blood. Carve it into the stone of your mind so deep that failure cannot breathe in its presence. The vow isn't about them, it's not about applause or safety or permission. It's about you. Proving to the one person you can't lie to that the fire still lives. And when you do, the shell shatters, the forge ignites, and the path begins. Be water, my friend. Not merely a phrase, but a cosmic law disguised as a whisper. Water is the most relentless force in existence. Formless, yielding, yet capable of eroding stone, shaping canyons, devouring fire. Understand this. Adaptability is not weakness. It is immortality. That which refuses to bend will snap. That which clings will drown. To endure, to rise, to command your fate. You must move like water and burn like fire. There is a trap so subtle it evades even the sharpest minds. The trap of over-identification. You become the name they gave you, the job you hate, the scars you count like beads on a rosary. You begin to believe you're the anxiety, the anger, the one who always quits at the threshold of greatness. These things are not you. They are clouds passing through the endless sky of your being, and yet, how many lifetimes have you chained yourself to a storm? Fixed labels are prisons without walls. I'm shy. I'm not a leader. I don't belong. These are not truths. They are spells. Words whispered enough times that they calcify in the mind, turning infinite possibility into a tiny, suffocating cell. And the worst part? You hold the key, yet convince yourself it belongs to someone else. Understand this now. You are whatever you decide to become, moment by moment. To ascend, you must discard the brittle identity built by fear and expectation. Burn the old scripts. Detach from the narrative whispered by ghosts of your past. You owe no loyalty to the lesser version of yourself. This is the silent rebellion. The inner war where you look into the mirror unflinching and say, I am not what happened to me. I am what I choose to become. and in that declaration you dissolve the chains. So, today, you break pattern. Perform a day of absolute unpredictability. Wake before the sun. Speak to the stranger you'd usually avoid. Take a road you've never walked. Wear something that makes you feel like a god. Say no when you usually say yes. Say yes when fear screams no. Seize discomfort. Disrupt the rhythm that keeps you asleep. Because every time you defy yourself, you grow. And every time you grow, you live. There's a war no one sees. A battle waged not with swords, but with thoughts sharper than steel. The fiercest enemy you'll ever face lives in the silent corridors of your own mind. As you think, so shall you become. These words are not philosophy. They are prophecy. If the inner world fractures, the outer one crumbles. And if you cannot master the voice within, you will forever be ruled by the noise around you. The law of inner dominion makes no exceptions. Command yourself or be commanded. There's no middle ground, no treaties, no timeouts. Either you seize the reins of your mind and forge your fate, or you become a pawn in games you never chose to play. The invisible war is constant, subtle, deadly. Every day you allow hesitation, every moment you grant fear a seat at your table, you bleed power you can never retrieve. You must learn to identify the silent assassins, self-doubt that disguises itself as humility. Inherited beliefs passed down like rusted chains. And most dangerous of all, the fear of your own limitless power. Yes, that fear exists. The terror of what might happen if you actually lived with no restraint. If you spoke your truth without apology. If you claimed the crown you secretly know was meant for you. Most men fear failure, but greater men fear their own brilliance. There's a sinister pattern we repeat, sabotaging ourselves at the brink of breakthrough. Right when the threshold quivers, when the old identity begins to die and the new one knocks at the door, we retreat. Procrastination, excuses, sudden fatigue, conflict with those we love. It's not coincidence. It's the inner enemy staging a coup, because it knows once you step through, there's no return. So today, you'll write your shadow creed, list every dark truth you avoid, the things you most fear about yourself. The weaknesses you pretend aren't there. The dreams you quietly believe are too big. Then choose one. Defy it publicly. Speak it aloud. Post it. Call it out. Because in shining light into your darkest corners, you steal power from the shadows. And in doing so, you declare war. Most people will spend their entire lives drowning, not in storms, but in the shallow waters of excess. It is not the weight of the world that breaks them. It's the 1,000 tiny fragments they refuse to let go. It's not the daily increase, but daily decrease. Hack away at the unessential. Simplicity is not the absence of ambition. It is the sharpening of it. The ruthless refinement of what truly matters until only what's immortal remains. The law of subtraction is a law for warriors. It declares that clarity is not something you gain. It's something you reveal. Beneath the clutter, beneath the lies you tell yourself to stay comfortable, is a mind forged for greatness. But it can't speak through the noise. Chaos is self-inflicted. Every distraction you allow, every false obligation you accept, every toxic voice you grant an audience, all of it, you chose, and what is chosen can be unchosen. Understand this. Focus is your most valuable currency. The world conspires to steal it, to fracture it into 1,000 meaningless pieces. Notifications, senseless conversations, mindless scrolling. Every moment you give away weakens your ability to command your own fate. The man who cannot hold his attention cannot hold his destiny. And you? We're not born for that kind of quiet defeat. The rhythm of reality creation begins when you reclaim the reins. When you subtract the unnecessary, the essential reveals itself like a diamond unearthed from mud. Clarity is not the result of adding more, but of relentlessly hacking away what dilutes your purpose. The fewer moving parts, the fewer points of failure, and what remains is pure, unstoppable. Now, execute a 72-hour digital and mental fast. Shut it down. The world can survive without you. Silence the screens, the feeds, the manufactured outrage. Let the noise inside grow loud, because that's where the battle lives. Listen to what surfaces, the fears, the desires, the regrets, the untamed hunger. Only then can you confront the forces that command you. Only then can you begin to command yourself. There is a death that wears no coffin, a death endured in daylight behind polite smiles and carefully measured words. It happens when a man lives without a cause. Knowing is not enough, we must apply. Willing is not enough, we must do. Ambition without a cause is spiritual suicide. It drains the soul drip by drip until you wake one day a stranger to yourself, alive in flesh but dead in purpose. The law of purpose speaks to the rarest of men, the ones who refuse to die before they're buried. It reveals this truth: your will must become singular, absolute, blinding. A force so focused it bends reality around it. Men wander lifetimes chasing shadows, mistaking movement for meaning. They collect accolades, titles, and fleeting pleasures. None of it satisfies, because nothing external can fill the void meant to be occupied by a definite, relentless purpose. Your vision must terrify you. If it doesn't, it's not big enough. Purpose is meant to unnerve, to rattle the shallow cages of comfort. It should feel like standing at the edge of a storm, knowing you could be shattered but stepping forward anyway, because deep down you understand. The version of you destined to command your world is born only in fire, only in the pursuit of the impossible. Stop lying to yourself about what you want. Stop adjusting your aim to fit what feels realistic. Reality is plastic. It moves for those who refuse to bow to its first resistance. Your mission is not to chase what you think you can have, but to claim what your soul demands, regardless of how unreachable it seems. This is the secret every architect of destiny carries, that the impossible is merely the unclaimed. Now, your outer action. Declare your impossible aim. The one thing you've buried beneath excuses and logic. Speak it aloud, post it. Write it where the world can see. Make it irrevocable. The fear you feel in doing so, that's the threshold. Cross it. Because the moment you name your war, the universe begins to conspire, and the man with a terrifying purpose is a man no force can contain. Fear is not your enemy. It is your messenger, a ruthless, relentless teacher that speaks in tremors and tight lungs. Fear comes from uncertainty. We can eliminate the fear within us when we know ourselves better. The greatest tragedy isn't being afraid, it's pretending you aren't. Because what you refuse to face, you grant dominion over you. Fear ignored is a tyrant. Fear confronted is a forge. The law of transmutation is ancient. It teaches that fear is raw, undirected power. Left unchecked, it consumes. But channeled, it sharpens the mind, awakens instinct, and electrifies the will. The difference between the warrior and the wanderer is not the absence of fear. It is how they wield it. The warrior turns it into fire. The wanderer lets it drown him quietly. Within you lie primal triggers, specific fears shaped by old wounds, by inherited limitations, by whispered lies you were too young to defy. Fear of rejection, fear of failure, fear of success, yes, fear of becoming more than what your tribe will accept. These are not random. They are codes written into the subconscious to keep you small. But codes can be rewritten by those bold enough to name them. Bruce Lee understood this. Before every confrontation, before every test of spirit, he mapped his fears. He didn't deny them. He dissected them. He listed what could go wrong, what terrified him, what part of himself resisted the moment. Then, one by one, he shattered those illusions. Fear mapping, a sacred practice of warriors who refuse to be ruled by ghosts. And so now you begin. Identify one fear you've justified avoiding, the conversation you won't have, the decision you delay, the leap you excuse with logic. Name it, look it in the eye, then face it, today, not someday, not when the conditions feel safer. Because every time you confront what hunts you, you steal its teeth, and each tooth you claim becomes a weapon in the hand of the unbreakable. Before a single empire was built, before a single legend carved their name into the marrow of history, it existed first in the mind. The possession of anything begins in the mind. This is not poetry. This is physics of the unseen world. If you can hold it in your mind with such violent clarity that the world blurs around it, you can hold it in your hand. The mind, then, is not a mirror of reality. It is the forge where reality is born, The law of creative visualization is the sacred key masters have guarded for centuries. What you imagine consistently, intensely, and emotionally begins to solidify. The tragedy is this: most have underdeveloped imaginations. They cannot see beyond their debts, their heartbreaks, their history, and so their destiny suffocates beneath the weight of the present. They forget they were born to be architects, not survivors. Understand, visualization is not daydreaming. It's weaponized focus. It's building a world so vivid in the mind's eye that reality has no option but to rearrange itself. The masters saw their victories long before the battle began. They lived their triumphs behind closed eyes. They rehearsed every detail. The scent in the air, the weight in their chest, the sound of the world surrendering to their will. This was not fantasy. It was inevitability. You've been using this law unconsciously. Every fear you fixate on, every failure you relive, every limitation you rehearse in your mind's dark theater, you've been practicing for a life you don't want. And it works, because your mind knows no difference between real and vividly imagined. Now, turn the weapon the other way. Command it. Your outer action is this. Construct your mind movie. Choose the scene you refuse to believe. The version of you your fear says is impossible. See it in unrelenting detail. Where are you? What do you feel? Who witnesses your rise? Play it over and over. Before sleep. Upon waking. In every quiet moment. Because what is rehearsed in the mind is rehearsed for reality. And when thought and belief move in unison, the world kneels. Indecision is not a harmless delay. It is a silent assassin. It kills potential in its sleep, slices the throat of destiny in quiet moments of hesitation. If you love life, don't waste time, for time is what life is made up of. Every moment you linger in the limbo of maybe is a moment you abandon your throne. Indecision is a slow death, the kind that buries men with their dreams still inside them. The law of final decision is brutal and beautiful. It demands that you sever doubt at the root. That you move with a blade in your hand, cutting through the tangled weeds of fear, opinion, and overthinking. For every moment you hesitate, two versions of you are born, the one who moves and the one who waits. And in the end, only one survives. You decide or you decay. Hesitation breeds internal division. The mind fractures, energy leaks, certainty dies. A man divided against himself cannot stand, let alone conquer. Every "I don't know" you whisper is a seed planted for weakness. Understand, your brain craves clarity. It follows the strongest command available, and if none is given, it listens to fear. Bruce Lee knew this. Before every fight, every life decision, every defining moment, he practiced what he called his immediate decision protocol. Act decisively, fully, without retreat. Even if it turns out wrong, you remain in command. Action can be corrected. Hesitation cannot. It eats from the inside. It leaves you a ghost in your own life. So now, your outer action. Execute one life-altering decision in the next 24 hours. The conversation you've avoided. The move you've postponed. The truth you've delayed. Decide, declare, act. Not tomorrow. Not when you feel ready. Readiness is a lie told by hesitation. Strike now, because the man who commands his decisions commands his future. There is no mystery to mastery. There is only repetition. Relentless, obsessive, unglamorous repetition. I fear not the man who has practiced 10,000 kicks once, but I fear the man who has practiced one kick 10,000 times. This is the forgotten gospel of greatness. That ritual builds reality. That what you do daily in the unseen hours will either forge your empire or bury your name in obscurity. The law of repetition is ruthless in its simplicity. It cares not for talent, potential, or intention. It obeys action. It bends to discipline. While most chase novelty, the rare few understand the compounding power of one sacred practice, done without fail. The lost art of microdisciplines, those small daily acts that seem insignificant, but over time become the unshakable roots of unstoppable men. Understand this. Chaos isn't conquered in grand gestures. It's subdued by the steady pulse of disciplined ritual. Every missed practice, every broken promise to yourself weakens the armor of your mind. You become what you repeat, not what you hope for. not what you occasionally attempt, only what you relentlessly rehearse. Bruce Lee lived by this. Every morning, every evening, every breath, ritual. He understood that while others waited for motivation, the disciplined man owned the future. And while his routines seemed simple, breathing exercises, kicks, philosophy readings, their compounding force turned him into a legend whose name outlived his years. Now your outer action. Create your death before dishonor habit. One sacred daily non-negotiable act. It can be 5 minutes, it can be one action. But it must never be skipped. It is not for others. It is your private war. The line you will not cross. Because when the world tests you, and it will, you'll already have proven long before the battle that you don't break. The mind is a storm. It churns with 1,000 thoughts, desires, anxieties, and distractions. But only in the calm can you see clearly. Empty your mind. These words are not advice. They are a command from the heart of true mastery. A chaotic mind cannot command reality. It is tossed by every wind. It is a slave to every thought. But a mind at rest is a vessel that can hold the weight of the universe and direct it with the precision of a master. The law of mental emptiness is the gateway to all power. It teaches that true strength comes from the ability to silence the noise. Only when you empty the vessel can it be filled with greatness. The neurological reason behind this is simple. Stillness allows your brain to reset. It gives space for your intuition, your inner wisdom, and your genius to surface. In the chaos, the signal is lost. In the silence, the signal becomes clear. Most people fear stillness. They see it as weakness or idleness. But in truth, it is the most potent weapon in a warrior's arsenal. It is in the silence that intention becomes amplified. What you think, what you visualize, what you intend, these are not just fleeting thoughts. In stillness, these thoughts become real, crystallized. They begin to vibrate with power. They are no longer just ideas. They are forces in motion. Bruce Lee knew this truth. Before every fight, before every decision, he practiced stillness. He understood that the mind cluttered with distraction cannot make swift, powerful decisions. But a mind that is empty, like a still pool, reflects the clarity of the moment. In that space, he could see what others could not. He could act when others hesitated. He could hear what others missed. Now, your outer action. A daily void session. For 20 minutes, engage in absolute stillness. No input, no noise, no distractions. Allow the mind to breathe. Allow it to purge what it's been holding. In that silence, the mind will reveal what it has hidden. The truths, the clarity, the deep-rooted desires that have been drowned out by the world. And once revealed, you will be unstoppable. Immortality is not granted by time. It is seized by those who burn brightly, who leave a trail so fierce that even in death the world trembles with their memory. The key to immortality is first living a life worth remembering. Legacy is not measured by what you leave behind, but by what you ignite in the hearts of those who follow. Your fire must burn so intensely that even long after it fades, the embers keep others warm. The law of inner legend is the secret of the few who are never forgotten. It reveals this truth. You are not here to merely exist. You are here to forge your meaning from the very materials of your pain, your struggles, and your triumphs. Every obstacle you face, every wound you endure is not a punishment. It is the anvil on which you are shaped. Pain can break you, or pain can become the molten metal with which you carve a legacy that never fades. But to become legendary, you must first become the man you are afraid to face, the man who strikes with unwavering conviction, the man who, when others retreat, steps forward, the man whose very presence commands respect, the man your enemies fear and your descendants will quote. This man is forged not in moments of comfort, but in those of choice. He is the result of a series of decisions made under duress. He is the culmination of uncompromising will and untamed spirit. Bruce Lee was more than a martial artist. He was an immortal force, a man who took every hardship, every rejection, every moment of doubt, and transformed them into the fuel that propelled him beyond the confines of mortal men. His greatness didn't just come from his fists. It came from his indomitable spirit, his unshakable belief that his life had to mean something. And so it does. Forever. Now. Your outer action. Compose your legacy oath. Write it out. Frame it. Live it. This is your vow to the universe, your declaration of intent. It is your refusal to be ordinary, your refusal to shrink in the face of fear, your refusal to waste a single moment. Seal it with the blood of your purpose. Live it with the fire of your destiny. And when the time comes, your name will be carried on the winds of those who dare to remember what it means to live, as a legend. Defeat is a state of mind. No one is ever defeated until defeat has been accepted as a reality. This is the final truth that shatters all illusions. You are not broken. You are dormant. You are not finished. You are merely at the precipice of your awakening. The hour has arrived to turn the key, to unlock the power that has been waiting silently inside you. The mind may whisper failure, the world may try to convince you of your limits, but none of it is real unless you accept it. The secret key was always yours. It was never hidden in another, never locked away by circumstance. It was there, in the quiet spaces between your breaths, in the moments when you hesitated but chose to stand instead. You were never meant to live in fear of what you cannot control. You were born to command. You were born to rise from the ashes of your past and turn your vision into reality. Every hardship, every rejection, every failure. These were the tools that sharpened your mind, the fires that shaped your soul. The time for excuses has ended. The time to rise has come. If you felt the pulse quicken, the undeniable rhythm of your own power awakening, this path is yours, and you owe it, not to the world, but to the version of yourself that is dying to meet you. To the man who has been quietly waiting, buried beneath the weight of your doubts, your fears, and your hesitation, he is ready, and he is you. This is your final call to action. Step into the life that is already calling your name. It's time to ignite what you were always meant to be. The key was yours all along. The door is open. Walk through it.